I'll answer one. Hi everyone. Here we are again. Another meeting about Pallet homes. We started this little group of ours. People just latched on, and everybody who had the same ideas kind of got together. And Barry and Janet headed this meeting this evening, and they're just the chair of the meeting. So I'm going to just ask people if they want to ask questions to come up to the mic. The purpose of the meeting is to make everyone aware what it's going to be like when these pallet shelters go into the radar base. And when I say when, I hope that it doesn't happen, and we will be behind you 100% to do what we can to stop that. And we're also going to have somebody streaming in with us tonight from Sackville. Her name is Stacy. Janet, what's Stacy's last name?
Gerard.
And she's been living with the pallet shelter since February. But they also been fighting this fight for a long time as well. And she's going to let you know what they went through, what they're going through, and what the steps are. So hopefully everybody will be engaged and ask questions and tell us what your fears are. When these pallets were going to go down on Henry Street, I had a personal reason. I have a nephew who lives down there, and he has a mental health issue, and I just seen it being a bad thing that could happen from that. Now I see it going to another area where more vulnerable people. We have seniors, we have children, disabilities. All of these people have high doses of medication. So there's a possibility that homes could be broken in and all kinds of things could happen. So anyway, it's not about my fears tonight. It's about everyone's fears. So I'm going to hand it over to Janet and Stacy. And then once Stacy has her say, we're going to invite you to come up. You can ask her questions or you can address anybody here. We have Lauren here, Lauren Greener, counselor. And we also have Dylan from Kendra Cool's office. So if you want to give them any feedback, you're welcome to do that as well. I mean, I don't know if you want to do that tonight or if you want them to email you, you can let them know that. So Janet, go ahead.
All right. Thank you all for coming. And so again, as Kim was saying, we've got Stacy from Sackville. Stacy's going to get in and tell you about the pod project, and they had a mini pod project that started in 2022. The mini pods was just the first stage of before the pallets came. They both serve the same purpose. So she's got a story to tell you about the last over a year of what's been going on with their lives and how it's changed. So I'm just going to leave it to Stacy. If you have any questions, just let us know. Stacy's going to answer them very directly about your concerns about what has actually gone on in the pallet project that is in place. Go ahead, Stacy.
Okay, perfect. Hello. So a little backstory. The pallets / shelter in Sackville used to be a warming center. This was for homeless people, for storms. They could get laundry done, whatever. In December of 2022, it has changed to be a shelter. There was no public meetings. There was no consultations. It just happened. So what happened was it opened a 24-bed shelter, and there was something called 8 micropods. These micropods were, they're kind of like the first generation of pallets. They were on the side. Nobody really even knew that they were there until you really looked, because the way they positioned them was on the side of the building. So before the palace even opened in February, there was an increase in drug use. There was needles being found in the neighborhood. There was an increase in theft, just strange people in yards. So then people started asking kind of questions about it and wondering what's different. Because as I said, like it's taken into a church. So you don't really know. You don't really know like it's a shelter unless you're looking. So the problem with it is that these people are obviously not supported. There are people who need more than just a home. There are people who need like rehab, detox, they need options. And basically what the government's doing, as you guys know, is they're putting a band-aid on it. They're hoping that this is going to go away, and like it doesn't work like that. I'm just looking at my son on my camera. I apologize. I'm solo parenting. It's tough. So Janet asked a few questions for me to answer, just some basic ones that you guys might have. So, how has the community changed? A lot. It definitely has a lot. A lot of the people who have gotten the brunt of this is children, because we're now having to explain, if you see needles, don't touch them. If you see methadone bottles, pill bottles, don't touch those either. It's extremely hard as well to explain to children like why you shouldn't be running bare feet in different community spaces. So the community's definitely changed. The majority of the residents also are not happy about this. But as it is there, a lot of people are afraid to speak up. Because when you speak up, you get called NIMBYs, you get called bigots, and you get called all these different names that it's like you're either for them or against, but the reasoning doesn't matter to people. Like nobody's saying that homeless individuals don't need their space or a home. What they're saying is that it shouldn't be at the expense of a community, and they should be given proper supports. So, like, residents are not happy. We had a community meeting, I believe around February 15th. The exact date escapes me. They picked a place that was donated with a cap of 160 or so people, and they turned another 100 people away. So it's a little bit alarming that there's no consultation. And at the end of the day, they don't think they don't think they have to. This is not a municipal thing. So when people try to argue about zoning, it has nothing to do with zoning. This is a provincial matter. We know this because we have a petition going, so we had to like figure out who to send it to. Crime definitely has increased, for sure. Whether it be thefts in vehicles, whether it be thefts of property. There's also multiple things like drunk in public, intoxicated, like theft. I guess there's different I don't want to say swarmings because it's not swarming, but like adults approaching youth, asking them for cigarettes and weed, different drugs, money. And when people have said that they don't have money, they've been met with well, don't your parents send you with lunch money? So it's kind of like we're making these teenagers grow up and stand up to adults. I don't personally drive by the shelter that much. I don't really leave my home. But another question was more police and ambulance calls. Yeah, that is for sure. I would guarantee that they're there almost every weekend, if not almost daily. Sometimes they have patrols in the area where they'll sit across the street. I've heard stories of the shelter actually calling the police on the police for sitting across the street because they were uncomfortable. Open drug use, endangerment to kids, 100%. Open drug use, it actually was said about a month and a half ago that there is an individual leaving the shelter. I say individual leaving because I don't know if he lives there. I don't know the details. But he actually injected himself in the stomach and threw the needle across the street. This was just so happened to be a day that there was security there doing surveillance on behalf of the community just to look. So they have a report on that. Yeah, it's pretty intense. The endangerment to kids is huge because like there's a daycare that's close by, there's a beach that's by, there's a park that people frequent. Across the street is like a track and field that schools use in the area. Like the weather's getting nice. It's May. There's definitely going to be more like people frequenting there. It's kind of like everybody's on edge. They're trying to like not freak out, I guess, but also it's you can't ignore it. It's not going away. Sackville residents, what have they done to feel safer? Too much. That's what they've done. Too much. So the residents have got training and they're doing sweeps of property. So like the school, the local parks. And interestingly enough, they also did areas around Sackville in general, because a lot of people were saying that you could find needles everywhere. Well, no, you can't. It's just in the vicinity of these places. It's not all over the town. Like it's not. Another thing that they've been doing is monitoring a path at lunch. Allegedly, there's supposed to be a fence that's going to be built there. I don't know if it's built yet. I'm assuming no. They were met with some people who wrote emails to MLAs asking when the fence was going to be built, and they were basically met with they'll respond when they feel comfortable with responding. So, is there any good stories? This is from the chat of people enjoying a shelter. I mean, I think if they were supported, then sure. But these people are not supported. These people are put into this building, with a high acuity. So the people in the shelter are basically non-functioning people. They're people who are probably full-blown addicts. They only find drugs. They don't have jobs. And they're trying to get on their feet. The pallets are low acuity, which means that you're probably functioning whether you're an addict or not. You might be working, you might be on disability, but you're able to come and go as you please. The big difference with this is that you have two types of people who might be recovering addicts, who are trying to better themselves, and people who don't care because they have literally everything given to them. So it's very frustrating knowing that this shelter in particular is not providing the support that it needs for these individuals, especially when these people are going here with a hope of maybe like not being on drugs for their whole life. They've been found at the local school, which is under 150 meters away. It might even be closer. From door to door, it's 210 meters. So from property to property, it's probably a rock throw away. And there's been a methadone bottle found. Like that's a controlled substance. These people who are on methadone should be a little bit, a little bit more respectful, I think. And I think at the end of the day, like people just don't agree with it in the location. We have a petition going here. We're hoping in the next few weeks to have it closed. Welcome, Laura. And Nancy as well. Housing will be started in the field shortly. And that's exactly it. Because what's happening as well here is that when people are kicked out of said shelter or pallets, where are they going? They're going up the street to a second lake where they're now building encampments and putting their tents in the woods. So it's really not addressing the problem, because at the end of the day, you need rules and structure. But if people aren't following them, they're just being kicked out and they're going right back into the community. So it's no different than having an encampment where they are. A big issue also for Sackville is that Sackville had the encampment, which was a disaster. I will not go into that because I could talk about it all day. Then they have the pallets and the shelter. We're also getting where the encampment was, which is an old ball field diamond, is tiny homes. So tiny homes is transitional housing. That's not our fight. It's not here yet. So Sackville is basically becoming a dumping ground because it's out of the city for all these homeless projects. And we're also being the center of this social experiment where nobody seems to care. I know people are sending emails. I personally have sent over 60, and the only responses I've got was the member of parliament, and he said that it was basically not a federal issue, it was a provincial issue. I got one from Claudia Chunder. I swear I'm going to learn her name someday. NDP leader, from her assistant, and it basically just said, like, good luck, call for the needles. Yeah. I also had another email that was from the Minister of Education, who somebody sent one on her behalf with my concerns because my son is starting school in September and his school is a little bit down the street. So, like, if they go for a community walk, am I going to have to tell them not to touch anything on the way? Or, like, are they going to have adequate staff to make sure that nobody touches it? Last week, somebody found a bag of pills. Chender? Thank you. I can, like, names are tough. I apologize. Yeah, they found pills the other day in a bag. I can't confirm what they are. I only seen the pictures. I'm not a pharmacist, but it's just the increase in all of these situations is very alarming. I'm someone who grew up in Sackville. I live just outside Sackville now. My parents live there. My siblings live there. This is not normal. This is not how Sackville always was. When I was a teenager, I hung out with that crowd. If anybody's seen it, it would be me and my friends at the time, and we never did. Like, I could count maybe twice, if that we've ever seen needles. And that's being very generous because I don't remember ever seeing a needle on the ground. So it's very alarming that this is acceptable. It's another Band-Aid that the government's putting. It's, yeah.
All right. So does anybody have any questions for Stacy?
Anybody want to come up and ask a question? I can bring the mic over to you.
Nobody's going to be on camera from the audience. We're keeping you guys private.
And we ask that nobody do any videotaping around the audience.
Stacy, I'm wondering, are they receiving health care?
Maybe basic.
At the palace,
Maybe
or at the
basic.
shelter?
Maybe basic. Apparently they have a full-time social worker who kind of manages the building. There's also apparently a mental health counselor that's available 3 days a week, so part-time. But if you do the math, there's 24 beds in the shelter. There's up to 19 pallets. I'm not sure if there's 19 there now. I think there might be 9 or 10, and 8 micro shelters. At the end of the day, there's almost 50 people. So to have a part-time mental health counselor, they're probably not getting the adequate care that they need. They might have, like, doctors that could prescribe things, or like a nurse, but, like, they're definitely not getting what they're told they have, which is, they're being told that they're supposed to have wraparound services, and they're not getting wraparound services. This is not a wraparound service.
Yeah, the wraparound services it's a phrase that they've taken from the public services.
Yes.
In addiction services, they started discussing wraparound. The reason I asked that is here in Sydney in the Ally Center, there's physicians that are there every week that provide, I think and correct me if I'm wrong, but I think I even read where they would pay mileage if you wanted to come in and get the flu shot and the COVID shot. And I just wondered whether or not they were, we're paying for that. NSHA, those doctors are being paid by NSHA. right?
As far
And,
as far as I
they
know,
service those.
as far as I know in Sackville, there is not that. Like there's just a mental health counselor, the
Okay.
social
Do they-
worker who oversees it. And I only know this because people have asked and they've said those questions. I've even had Jim Gunn, who is a spokesperson. I don't even know his proper like title. He said that that's what they have. So like nobody's mentioned doctors in there. Nobody's even mentioned if they have AA or NA in there. Like nobody has said anything. It's just mental health counselor, the social worker who oversees it, and that's it.
Just last question. You talked about those that get kicked out. What are the parameters that they put in place that if you cross it, you get kicked out?
I have no idea the specifics. People have asked for their rules or code of conduct. I can say no full-time counseling on site. They visit there once a week. Yes, that's what Laura has said. Like they don't have that. In terms of being
Visit there
kicked
once a week.
out. Yep, full-time counseling, no.
Yeah.
They visit there once a week. As far as I know, what was that?
It's dry either, is it? Those.
No.
They're not
This is
dry.
so this is not a safe injection site. To be a safe injection site, you need special insurance. This is a harm reduction. So they have needle sharps in the bathrooms like anywhere else. This is like this is basically don't ask, don't tell. So like I don't know the details if they find drugs on you there, if they will kick you out. I don't know the details of that. But yeah, like there's no means, like I know confidently somebody who's been living in the micropods and they are addicted to crack cocaine and other narcotics. So like there is no standard basically.
Stacy, I'm just gonna hand you over to somebody else with a question.
Yep.
Hi, Stacy.
Hello.
So they're going to, I think in our case, that it's going to be, they're allowed to do what they want once their door closes. They're allowed to have alcohol, they're allowed to have drugs. There's the MAP program, I think it's called,
Managed alcohol program.
where they're gonna give the people alcohol 2 times a day. So what they're gonna be doing is enabling them as they do
Yep.
with methadone. So what they're gonna do here is they're going to keep people addicted to the things that they're addicted to, which is gonna kill them. So you're gonna look at the end of the month when people get their checks,
Yep.
because they don't have to buy groceries, have to pay for laundry. They don't have to do any of that. And
Yep.
what's gonna happen is they're gonna knock on certain doors and certain doors aren't gonna open, and then they're gonna have to break them down, and then we're dead people, right? They're gonna walk down a highway here that's not lit, and they're gonna get killed by cars because they're gonna be high or drunk.
Yep.
Right? It's not only our safety, it's their safety, and it's people that are never gonna get out of this vicious circle because of this.
Exactly.
Yep.
So, I'm not good, so I just wanted to put that in.
Yep, that is exactly it. Laura Taylor from chat says they store their drugs for them. They do have safe supply. I'm not sure if they do have safe supply, as in they supply those, but they definitely store their drugs. They have lockers. It's just a don't ask, don't tell. As far as the stumbling and stuff, the enabling has to stop. Yes. As far as the stumbling and things, that's already happening. There's been bus drivers that have reported they've been driving kids in the morning with somebody passed out in a ditch, and the kids have asked if that person was dead. there's been cars that have to slow down because other people have been like stumbling into the street at all hours of the day. They do actually check at the end of the month, the last few days when the checks come out, and there is an increase in drug paraphernalia and things like. Yep, those are very real and very legitimate concerns that are happening.
Stacy, I was just wondering, so the Pallet House was put into place February, and how
Yep.
long before that did you know that they were?
Nobody knew really before. They just had a community meeting, which was like an info session. It wasn't like a Q&A that it turned into. It was more or less an info session that they tried to have with the community, and they were very shocked that the community was not on board with this idea.
Yeah, I think we had the same one.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, it wasn't meant to be anything.
No. What did your community do to try to prevent it? Like, what steps did you guys take?
Nothing, because we didn't have a choice. We didn't have anything. They just basically said they were coming. Because the shelter, what happened when it went from the warming center to the shelter, nobody knew about it. They just noticed like an increase in stuff in the community. And then when it became further into it, that's when people were like, wow, this needs to stop, because there have been reports in Ask Nova Scotia. There's a running list at the top pinned of incidences, and there's some before the pallets came in February, like that legitimately has been here. And then they basically just had this info session to say that like they're coming anyway, it doesn't matter. Like people literally did not have a say. They had the meeting, and a week later a friend of mine's spouse was already putting in things because their job got the contract. Like they didn't care, they just wanted to make it look like they cared. But like, yeah, we hadn't like, so now what we're trying to do is we're trying to get them relocated, because Jim Gunn, the spokesperson or whatever he is, has said that they are apparently readily available to be moved quickly, whatever quickly means. So the best shot we have right now is we have a petition circulating around the community, and we're hoping that we can get enough signatures, because online petitions don't count in provincial matters. So we're hoping that if we can get signatures, then maybe they'll be relocated. But at this point, it's like I don't even know.
And one other thing I wanted to ask you, so I'm sure you must see increase in drug dealers around the area. What about
I can say with enough confidence, I don't know if anybody follows news, but in the encampment in Lower Sackville, somebody was allegedly caught dealing in a camper there. That individual is now living in the shelter. So, yeah, there's definitely an increase probably in drug dealers. I don't really know the specifics of that, but it's definitely not that hard for them to get now. That's for sure.
does
Yep.
anybody else have any questions?
So Stacy, is Jim Gunn like Beacon House? Does he run Beacon House?
He's one of the higher ups. I mean, someone can probably correct me, but he's like a spokesperson. He's not the CEO, but he's definitely like a bit higher up in there.
Is he like our Erica?
Mm,
No. I mean, in the type of he serves.
I'm not sure.
Okay. We've got a question. Go ahead, sir.
Can you hear me? I just want to clarify something here. Am I correct in saying that the pallet homes are in place there now?
Yes, they've been there since February.
How long, and, and how long have they been in place for?
So the micropods have been there. So that's like the first generation pallets. They've been there since December of 2022, but there's only 8. And then the pallets, they've been there since February.
And who's responsible?
The government, because
Whose jurisdiction are
it would be the
province?
province. The province.
How
It's the province. The province, because it's the Department of Community Services, which I've also emailed Brendan McGuire, who also has not said anything either.
I sent him an email about 2 months ago, he still hasn't responded to me.
I need to send a third or fourth here soon.
So for all intents and purposes, nobody's actually really looking after them, so to speak.
Not really, no. They're
Or
just
are they?
giving money to this Beacon House, which is like an organization that's been around Sackville for decades. They have a food bank, they have a Christmas store, they do a lot or did a lot for the community. But now they're kind of like reaching their hand out for money and not really making any support. No.
Stacy?
Yep.
We have someone who wants to know, is it on provincial land or in this municipal? Do you know?
It's actually on, I'm not 100% sure on which, but it's actually on church land. So the church is loaning the land to Beacon House for this. So we actually have to personally go after the archdiocese because they have their own set of rules for this type of situation, like no drugs. So we think they also have their hand into it because this is a church, like this is a church property. So I'm not entirely sure where it lands, if it's different. But this is a church. Like I grew up in this church. Like I served with my altar server in this church. Like it's a church. So they just changed it and they're renting essentially the land. They have a contract. Municipal bylaws were circumvented by the province and the church. There you go. That's what Laura was saying.
So
What was that?
have you contacted the diocese?
I
you
have been
contact
working
the
on an
diocese
email
somewhere?
I've been working on an email myself. I haven't had much time to do anything as my husband's currently away and I'm taking care of our 3 kids. But that's the next email. I do know that others have sent emails and they either don't get a response or they get a very carefully copy pasted response, but it's like it's like you think it's an email, I guess, until you talk to other people and it's the same email, if that makes sense. Like it's very, very sneaky.
Orchestrated.
Yeah, like it's very thought out. It's not just a cookie cutter one. It's kind of like, it's weird.
And so, do you still have community meetings? Like, do you have I know you're talking about this petition, but do you have like any next step plans to try to get them moved, except for the,
I had a meeting, I want to say, I mean, we're May, aren't we? I think mid-March, I had a meeting with Stephen Craig, the MLA for Sackville, and he straight up told myself and another lady that came with me that there will not be another community meeting. Based on the last one, they're not doing it. They don't want a town hall. They don't want to deal with the security. This meeting though that you guys had invited me to kind of has some wheels turning myself. So I might have to like see what we can do with that.
Yeah, to get your own.
Yeah, like I might have to see it because there was an individual who did do meetings in Sackville, but it was kind of more like an elite thing. It was very it was very like you had to show your ID, where you lived, blah blah blah. So it wasn't a big turnout. But I definitely am interested in maybe exploring that avenue once my husband is home so I can like have some kid free time. But they've been doing really well on the petition. Yeah, bag checks at this meeting, like it was very elitist and it wasn't really attainable to people. So like if I was to do a meeting, I would probably just be like everybody who can be cordial, and I don't care if you agree with them there, like say your piece. But I have to think of the logistics and stuff in the next few weeks, send some emails. Yeah, but they're not doing one like with government or anyone else. They are not doing it again.
So there's another suggestion I have for you. So you said you were a member of this church growing up?
Yeah, so I'm trying to like
Right?
form
So are
an
you still
email.
considered a parishioner?
No, no, probably not. I haven't been there in like almost 20 years, I would say. It's
But
been
that
a
doesn't
while,
mean
but
you're not still not.
I don't think I would,
Yeah.
because it's
You're still
not like I guess. Yeah. I mean, I didn't follow like the whole Catholic church thing though, like the whatever
Oh, I
like
know, I understand that, but when you're a member of a church, unless you leave and actually become a member of another church, you're always a member of that church. So a suggestion is if you could find other people in your community who are also still members of that church, although you're not going there every week, that doesn't mean anything. And get them to sign a petition as a member of the church and send your concerns directly to the diocese.
Oh, that's a good
mail,
plan as well.
And I'd actually do it registered mail, and then you have a trace.
Yeah. Yeah. I
It's
might
just
have
a
to look into
suggestion,
that.
a small one, but yeah.
It's really difficult because it's
Sorry, you
like
have to move.
we're basically just being shut down because like I think it's a little different with your guys' situation and ours because like I think they learned in a way because you guys don't have them, and they literally just put them there. They had the meeting and within a week they were basically put up. Like that meeting was never that was a meeting to shut people up and it didn't work. So like we're trying to do things by the books. We're trying to do things like as properly as possible. This petition, they go out every weekend. Like we go out all the time. Like I can't do much cuz I'm not bringing my kids or anything. Like I'm not bringing my kids along. But like we've been trying. I keep hearing that people are taking pages and bringing them back full of signatures. So like there's so much that we can only do, but this petition, in my opinion, is probably the best shot that we have. And all that I can try and do is try to keep the pressure on it in terms of like media coverage, media things. Like it's very frustrating that nobody's answering anybody. Like I want to meet with people also. Like once my husband's home, I'm going to be sending messages like I'm done. I want meetings. Like I want to discuss these things. I'm tired of emails. And they don't operate as a church at the location anymore. Would that still count?
Stacy, one of the things that I've thought about in all of this, whether you're talking about Newfoundland, whether you're talking about, originally it was Kentville, or there's a common thread. And I think that maybe that's what we need to focus on, and that's public safety. Because
Yes.
there is a federal minister of public safety. And I mean, they had a conference in Toronto because people's cars were being broken into and being stolen, and it was a public safety issue. So I think maybe something to tie all of this together, all of these sites together, is public safety. We've got documents that a mother was killed in Toronto, not far from a safe injection site because there was a fight with guns and she was killed. In Montreal, a body was found in a daycare next to a safe injection site. And I think that's probably our best bet, because otherwise, they're gonna see, they're doing something different in Sackville that they're doing in the pier, and then they're doing in Newfoundland, which allows them to create individual silos.
Yeah.
And I think the public safety thing, the issue with Dominic LeBlanc is the minister. In fact, I called his office and left a message.
Dominic LeBlanc is the federal minister of public safety. That's who it is.
Yep.
Let me write that down.
down.
Because I've even, like, what I did was, so I sent a mass email to people and I sent them, like, my thoughts, basically, like an open letter. No response. So then I sent individual letters. And keep in mind, like, I'm a busy person. Like, I can't sit around. So I sent individual letters and I tried to target people, as in, like, the justice minister. Why are these people not being screened criminally? Right? Why are we not given extra police patrols? Why are we not doing this? Then the education minister with schools. Are there more people? Are there people sweeping properties? Why are the public doing it? I also emailed the premier. Why don't we have addictions and homeless counselor or minister? Why don't we bring that in? I think Alberta has one. Why don't we do that? Why don't we have this? Brandon McGuire with DCS. Why not? There's also somebody here for us called Bill Moore. He's the public safety for HRM. Haven't heard from him either. So, like, all these people are being emailed, and I know that other people are emailing as well, but, like, they're not saying anything. I have to do a third round of emails here in the near future. I'm hoping to send off in the next few days if possible, and then maybe set up meetings once my husband is back, because, like, obviously emails ain't going very far and we need to have meetings done because this is ridiculous. And, like, there was even an article published last week saying that the community is becoming a little bit complacent now. Like, they're not opposed anymore. They're simmering down, but it's like, I don't think we're simmering down at all. Is that true? It's just we're trying to do things properly, and maybe we're not openly saying what we're doing because, like, how many times can you send emails? But, like, for me, I haven't really been doing the petition. I can't bring my kids. I'm not bringing my kids. So, like, I've been hearing the whispers, but I'm not announcing because I don't think I should be letting them know how well we're doing on the petition. Do you get what I'm saying? Like, we're trying to. No. We're not simmering. We got a question. Yes.
This is more for the crowd. I'm just wondering if or who might be interested in a class action suit. Maybe we all get our together and do something about this. Have them serve some papers, and I think that may start things. Once they're served some papers.
You read my mind. I've got a bunch of papers up here. I'm going to talk to you very soon about it. I do.
I think, everybody in this room is like-minded, and we all want, we want the same thing. We want these people to be safe, but in a neutral location, not, next to our homes. It's going to bring our property level.
Yes.
And,
danger.
these people be homeless. We're against, you know, bringing people that are, you know,
Active drug users in
that
danger.
that have
With it.
serious issues and that are prone to, you know, stealing and that kind of stuff. We just don't want it in our neighborhood, and it shouldn't be in anybody's neighborhood.
Exactly. Maddie.
So I really think
Yes.
that I really think that a class action suit will show them that we're very serious about this
You're right.
and that, you know, we're ready to move forward. I think we should do it sooner than later.
Good. Excellent point. Excellent
Yes,
point.
for sure.
Well, we still call for a little while, so maybe when the meeting's over, a few people can say behind and talk about that.
Yeah.
Yes, we have some documents there at the table that these are considering what this gentleman has just spoken about. Some legal documents is to take with his home, is to raise the number, sign up, he's wanting, to protect you, should these pallet homes over here, these will be legally protected. If somebody gets out of that shelter and harms any of our loved ones in our communities around here. They can go up there, they're legal, a lawyer, and we'd like you to, if you want.
From a team of lawyers.
We invite you to pick one if you choose to, find them, follow the directions, and cover everybody, should anybody get harmed or any problem. It's not covered in that way. The class action lawsuit is a very complicated procedure. And
But doable.
you know, we are a small community of trying to put this together. We have a lot of lawyers that work with municipality and lots of lawyers who approach are not interested in our case.
Things are just about to get interesting here, Stacy.
I know, that sounds really good.
Yeah, we understand that very well. So we'll tackle this on the legal man with the people we have.
Off camera. We'll do an in-camera meeting.
The people who have paid forward and gave us these documents, which are legal, they can't get you in any trouble. They're just to protect you if you choose. If you don't want to sign them, no problem. It's totally up to the individuals that live in the surrounding areas that may be affected by these pallet shelters and the people in the dwellings.
So explain again, sign this, what is it?
Well, it will let you.
We'll talk about that in a minute.
Oh, okay, all right.
Okay, yeah, good explain it, yeah.
This is volunteer?
Let's get through this. I just want to clarify that we are on top of another, you know, in that direction, not directly a class action lawsuit, but we
No.
have some people working on that also to protect you guys should something happen. We have a legal, you know, I don't want to give you a detail right here. The documents are there.
Any more questions for Stacy and Sackville? Are we done? Stacy?
Yes,
So,
and if you
since
guys,
I
if you
think
guys
we
want
have
help
any
with the
more
petition, I
questions
can
for
let you know too.
Oh.
Like if you want to do a petition, I can send you the template I used,
Yes,
and
1
then
second.
yeah.
Yeah, I think we've got a petition here as well, but it wouldn't hurt to put all of our petitions together as a.
Well,
as a
like the
Scotia
thing is
petition.
for us, like it just has
All
to
the
be very
communities, the bigger the number-
specific. Basically, like I don't know how it'll like ours is just for Sackville and surrounding areas, but it has to be like it has to be a little bit, yeah. But I'll send you it later tonight or tomorrow morning.
Yeah, we can do it.
And then hopefully we can get back to like a podcast when my husband's home.
Well, hold on, we got more questions for you. Hold on.
Yep.
I got a question and comment. Pallet homes in Halifax, Sackville?
Yeah.
The residents in them right now, are they allowed visitors?
Yes.
Are they allowed visitors? They are.
Yes.
The comment is, I've been working the last year overtime in an apartment building with senior citizens. And I think it's the Cape Breton Region Housing allowed 2 homeless people to move into this building. And what them 2 people have caused in that building in the last year, I can go on and on with the stories of work security. And it made me on my toes nonstop. The traffic that comes in and out of these two apartments has just, tortured the residents there.
Apparently, they're
scared
not
of
allowed
these
visitors. That was confirmed by DCS and Beacon House. So I guess they're not allowed
But
visitors.
I'm sure there's
Well, large opening done in these apartment buildings, and some of them are like a crack house on the weekend. Christmas is just, right out of the movies, and, I feel so bad for the tenants that have been there for some years. Some of them are even wanting to leave, it's uneasy. There's being thefts over the parking lot or cars, anything that they can get their eyes on, it's a dollar bill. They walk into the common room, and they don't look at the beauty of the common room, it's the value of the stereo, the TV, whatever they can get, you know.
Shelter's 24 hours and anyone can
come.
come and go, but the pallets are not allowed visitors.
Thanks for that information. All right, so is that it for Stacy? Stacy,
Oh,
thanks.
Well, someone has a question down there. Is it for Stacy or for the?
Okay, nope, another question. Hold on, Marilyn.
Yep.
I have a question and a comment. Is where else are these pallet homes at? Besides Sackville and Halifax and here, that we're trying to from here,
And Kentville.
where else are they at? What are the locations in Canada?
Saskatchewan.
Oh, I'm not sure other locations in Canada.
Yeah, they have.
Saskatchewan, Kim. Remember, it's entrance going on that.
Happy Valley.
So what do they do to regulate them? Because they're only enabling them, that's all they're doing. They're enabling these people to keep on doing.
They're not
drugs.
regulated.
They're
They're not
regulated.
officially
So they're
regulated.
just put there and waiting.
Yes, they are put there and they're a band-aid situation. That is exactly what it is. They're giving people a glorified tent to live in. That's what it is, a glorified tent.
So
Like that's literally it. There's no standard.
yeah, so they can just, not be a contributing factor to society to go about their business whichever way they please.
Yes,
Right?
a
While we
30K
have to go
tent.
work every day. Pay taxes and pay taxes on everything else that we got. Pay for what our paycheck. Right? And they just get told
Yep.
to do whatever they want.
Yep.
And then they give them some electric. Or else they're gonna supply.
Yep.
Now you're supplying, pardon my context. Right, for them to live in and do whatever they want.
Laundry facilities.
I don't know, it's very frustrating, and they're only trying to plop and wander away from my home that I just finished building.
Right?
So,
I was just thinking,
all I know is
I want one.
I wouldn't want them
No more
walking in my yard. Anyway.
Yeah. No, excellent. All right. Stacy, I can't thank you enough for your valued information. For everybody,
Anybody got anything else for Steve?
Yes, for sure. We'll plan something when my husband's home so then I can not be on kid duty.
to be continued.
Yeah, to be
Awesome.
continued.
Thanks for all your guests that came out tonight. Thanks, guys. We appreciate all the feedback and input. This is over. We'll be continuing on Cape Breton Originals with the rest of the feed.